So we've talked about a lot of films here on Movie Tales. Some of them have been good. Some of them have been great. Some of them have been bad. But none of them thus far have been more perfectly encapsulating of my type of film than the one we're about to talk about today. That, of course, is 1986's Big Trouble in Little China. Now, I knew from the get-go when I was doing this show, I'm going to talk about Big Trouble in Little China at some point because this is, like, to me, one of the best kept movies when it just comes to here's how you take a script that doesn't sound good and make it special. Because love it or hate it, this movie has an audience, there's a cult following behind it. Love it or hate it, on paper, this script is terrible. It is so badly written, so badly just created. But when you get the right team together, the right director, the right actors, the right costume designer, you can turn this stupid little script into a fantastic, over-the-top, satirical take on the genre it is spoofing. And that's something might get overlooked a little bit. Big Trouble in Little China is a spoof film because it's making fun of those high-strung kung fu action things of like the 70s, you know? It's parroting them, it's homaging them all at the same time where it's over-the-top dialogue where everybody's saying what they're feeling, everybody's saying what they're thinking, and it's just here's some great action, here's some insane costumes, here's a fantastic film just pushing all these ideas in a weird way that works so well. I love everything about this film. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not perfect. There's some hiccups here and there that don't work. Some plot lines that don't get picked up that I don't think are necessary, but that's kind of the trope it's spoofing too, where it's like, we could do certain stuff with this genre, but we don't really do it. That's kind of cool. So some of you might be out of the loop. What is Big Trouble in Little China about? Well, imagine you're an all-around American trucker. Your name is Jack Burton. You're headed down the street. You're just having a bell of a ball of a grand of a good time. You know, you're getting swindled for some money. Your buddy Wang's cheating you out of some dough, and he's like, "I'll pay you back, Jack. Don't worry." It's like, don't you do that, man. And when you're Kurt Russell, who plays Jack Burton, when you are Kurt Russell, you are given an opportunity to do something truly remarkable, and that is over-exaggerate what it means to be a white guy. And that is something that could be so annoying, but it is done perfectly well here. Just the exaggerated tones, the way every second of the film, he sounds tired and sarcastic and just dead inside, but he's still going along for the ride. He just looks sweaty and tired, and every time he gets hit down, he gets back up. He's like, oh, here we go again. Like, this is perfect. And I honestly think only Kurt Russell could do something like this because he is just a personality. He has that presence. He is just so commanding and in charge while still looking tired and bored and exhausted and frustrated in a convincing manner. Oh, it is so nice to see him in this. And I couldn't tell you what my favorite Kurt Russell role is. Jack Burton's up there. Just because this is him, man. He's just going for it. He's swinging for the fences. He's over-talking in every situation. His voice is so loud and commanding. He's like, hey, this is a pretty girl. I'm going to try to get some tail while I'm doing this incredibly ridiculous thing. And it works so well. And speaking of getting some tail, Kim Cattrall is in this. And I like her. I've always liked Kim Cattrall. I've never been like the biggest fan of hers. But I like what she does here because, again, it's the over-dramatization of the Lois Lane type where it's like, I'm going to get the report. I'm going to be the best news anchor you ever did see. I'm going to get all this done. Whoop-de-doo, look at me. You're going to solve this case, get everything sought out. Okay, that's a lot to deal with. And it's just like, whoa, let's take a minute back. But it works so well. You just have people committing to this dialogue and fully committing because it is cheesy, it is corny, it is hammed up to the extreme. And that is the point it's trying to get across. And that is how it's trying to present itself. So that is so cool. So Jack Burton, he's a truck driver, headed down to Chinatown. He gets up with his old buddy Wang, but Wang owes him some money. But Wang has to go pick up his lady from the airport. And when he gets to the airport, guess what? Lady's kidnapped by some gangs. So they're going to go find his lady. They end up in this dark alley. And what's happening? Literally a gang war. Yeah. And not just any gang war. Just an insane amount of violence and destruction, weapons of all sorts just coming through, while these two main characters are just sitting in a truck watching. And as that's happening, guess what? thunder, rain, and lightning strike down in the form of people, and they attack these gangs and they attack our guys. Because guess what's happening also? Lopez is returning. It's insane. It is really insane and intense and awkward and weird. And I'm just like, this shouldn't work. We're seeing so many just randomly colorful gang members beating each other up. And then all of a sudden, these big dudes in their straw hats show up, screaming, flipping. It shouldn't work. It really shouldn't work. But it does. And you're just like, this is great. The freaking costumes in this movie are so good. Like, every time you look at, like, I think in particular Rain and Thunder, they are so intense and just great. And I love the hats. The hats make it for me just because it's such a goofy design that it just shouldn't work. But I'm like, that's it. That's where we get Raiden, baby. This is just so funny and silly, and it works so well. So who is this David Lopez? Imagine like an ancient being of time and space has come down in the body of a man, James Hong here. And in order to, get things going again, he needs to find a wife. Well, lucky for us, Jack Burton and Wang, they both got ladies they're interested in. Wang's got his fiance, and we see that Kim Cattrall's kind of, playing it up a little bit, will they, won't they, with Jack. I cannot wait to talk about the end of that. And you just see Lopez's ultimate plan. He only needs one wife. He only needs one wife, right? He's like, I just need this one girl, get things back on track for me. What does he do? He's like, I'll take both of them. Why not? They're both pretty girls. I could have them. Beautiful. I love Lopez as a villain because not only is just James Hong like the best voice actor out there, like his voice is so iconic and it's interesting to listen to. His presence is so good. It's just so casual and so intense at the same time, where everything sounds just like it's shouting at you, and it's like a quiet way. It's like, don't you want to do this? And it's like, yep, that's great. I love it. I love his stupid outfits. I love his hats. I love when he looks like an old guy at the beginning. When he gets his power back, he looks young and he's wearing these stupid robes. Every second of it is great. And guys, wouldn't James Hong have been a fantastic Mandarin if we made Marvel movies back in the 80s and 90s? He would have slayed. He would have slayed so well. Like, that would have been great. I love it to death. And Lopez, I honestly think it's one of the most iconic villains in film. Especially if you are interested in this genre, you're just like, yeah, Lopez, here he is. He's like, character of myth and legend. Here he is, just attacking everybody, looking like an old dude. It's great. It's amazing. He's just going to marry some girls. It's perfect. What else do you need from a story like this? It's about these dudes trying to find, like, love in a stupid place. They're fighting monsters. They're fighting a big floating eyeball thing. It's brilliant, and I love the ending of this because Kim Cattrall finally is like, I like you, Jack. Let's kiss a little. He's like, I gotta go, sweetheart. The road doesn't wait for nobody but me. Later, skater. Completely blows her off. I adore it. It's like, aren't you gonna kiss her goodbye? No. Why would he? I love it. It's so good. Oh, there's just so many great moments in here, and the action is amazing. It is just over the top kung fu, whatever you want in that genre. That's what this is. It's just insanely fun and riveting. And I love the scene when, guys are exploding. We're just hitting people with lightning. Towards the end battle, we see Wang gets a little intense. And he's doing like great jump cuts where he's fighting. I think it's Rain he's just fighting in the sky. We're just like whoosh, 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 back and forth the whole time. It looks amazing. It's so funny, so silly, and has so much great stuff going for it. I absolutely love what that scene is. I absolutely adore everything about that action. It all works so well. I know I talked about the costuming again. I just do want to focus in on this a little bit. I really, really, really like the way that they make Jack Burton look in here. The over-the-top hair where it's almost a mullet, where he's just slowly breaking down, where he just goes from like wearing a hat and a jacket to just being in a muscle shirt and jeans, just holding a gun, just looking like a freak. I love it. I think it is so fun and so cool. And I cannot get over Kurt Russell's acting in this film. Like the scene where they're going into like to find a nice girl when they're in Chinatown, and he has to like pretend to be like some sleazeball trying to get with a nice promiscuous woman in a certain part of town. Completely hams it up. It works so well. It's amazing. Like, everything about this film just sticks the landing. And it's so weird to say that a film like this hit all the right nerves. So, if you haven't seen it, It is probably the cheesiest dialogue you're going to see delivered with the best performances. The costumes are great. The fighting is great. There's so many great scenes of thunder, rain, and lightning where they're just flying about, screaming and shouting and kicking each other. The weird pseudo-sexual relationship of Kim Cattrall and Kurt Russell is fantastic. There's just a guy who's narrating for no reason called Egg Shen. He shows up randomly in it, and it's just like, I know Lopez from the past. He's like an ancient being like Lopez. I'm like, oh, okay, why are you here? There's a really stupid subplot that I adore with like Eddie and Margot, where Eddie's like Wang's cousin or his friend, and he's just like, I like Margot. I'm going to stay here and protect Margot. Why? I don't know. Just why is he in here? Just because. That's the subplot that would be explored more in a different movie, you know? It's great. It's fantastic. And it's one of those things where I'm just like, I am so glad. I am glad beyond belief that nobody has rebooted this yet, because this is like lightning in a bottle. No pun intended. Just perfect prosthetics, perfect cinematography. Everything about this would be missed, and you wouldn't get the point if you remade it. This is such a perfect encapsulating film of the 80s, of what is spoofing. I love it in every second of it. You know, we could sit here all day talking about the best scenes, you know, where Kurt Russell's running down an alleyway, or Kurt Russell gets punched in the face, gets knocked out from the big fight, tries to get up again, gets knocked down. We could talk about every single scene that's fantastic. The monster at the end of the thing, getting in the truck, everything. We could just sit here all day and talk about Big Trouble in Little China. But I want to end things talking about this. There is so much stuff that you see in film where it's like you have to have the perfect script. And this is a prime example where I'm like, you don't need the perfect script. You need the right people involved in every other aspect to make a mediocre script look good. You could have the best script in the world, but if your director, if your costume designer, if your production designer, if your actors can't make that work, you ruin a great script. Vice versa. If your script is bad, but you have the right actors, the right chemistry on set, the right voices being put in here, you can make something genuinely surprising and shocking. And Big Trouble in Little China is a great example, a fantastic example of the good you can do when talking about just kung fu movies and silly action. When camp is done right, it is done like Big Trouble in Little China. And that is where we're going to end things for this rendition of Movie Tales. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. Lopan. That's a terrible... I did it better earlier. I don't know why I stuttered. Whatever. Watch this movie. Please watch this film.